The son was sent to the emergency room, and the husband only saved by Yueguang. When her son was eating Maokai, he was hit by the billboard of her husband by Yueguang's home, so he was sent to the nearby hospital where her husband lives. I knelt outside the examination room and begged him for more than 10 minutes before he opened the door impatiently. I immediately explained the situation of my son's serious injury. His eyes were full of contempt. Sophia, just to help your poor relative jump the queue, you can even say such vicious words? Are you sick? Do you know that Xinshin's feet will become inflamed if you don't take care of them? He slammed the door again, completely ignoring my cries. I had no choice but to transfer my son to another hospital, but I watched him die in the ambulance. My husband rushed to the funeral and forced me to sign a letter of understanding just to protect Bai Yueguang. I decisively filed for divorce and sent his white moonlight to jail. Later, he knelt down and begged me to tell him where his son was buried. I sneered. Is he worthy? My son was sick of the spicy Maokai, so I went next door to buy him an ice cream as usual. But when he turned around, he saw that the store entrance was crowded with people and smoke and dust were flying inside the store. My heart trembled and I ran back quickly, only to see that the entire Maokai restaurant was buried under a huge billboard. The people around hurriedly called the emergency number. What a sin. There are children inside, I'm afraid they will be crushed. I smelled blood in the air and rushed forward, tearing at the billboard frantically. When my fingertips were broken and my hands were covered in blood, the ambulance and firefighters finally arrived. The billboard was lifted up, revealing the situation inside. I was so anxious that my legs went weak and I crawled on my knees to find my son. My son's small body lay in a pool of blood, with a steel nail piercing the back of his head and his lips were completely bloodless from the pain. I was so distressed that tears streamed down my face, and I begged the medical staff to send my son to the nearest hospital. My husband is a surgical genius in that hospital and he will definitely be able to save our son. I wanted to call him to prepare for surgery, but he didn't answer. I could only call his colleagues, but there were so many patients affected by the billboard that everyone was on the ambulance. Fortunately, my colleagues told me that my husband Michael is still in the hospital. I seemed to see hope, so after sending my son to the emergency room, I rushed to the surgical clinic where my husband was and banged on the door frantically. My cries echoed throughout the corridor, but Michael seemed not to hear them. He waited more than 10 minutes before opening the door, with a look of disgust. Sophia, are you sick? Have I ever told you not to disturb me when I'm doing an important surgery? Xinshin asked for leave today to come and treat the wound. You can't wait too long. If you want to make a scene, go home and make it later. Xinshin? Ava, the love he couldn't have? My heart skipped a beat, but I quickly got back to the point. Michael, something happened to my son. The emergency room can't perform surgery, and only you can save him. With tears in my eyes, I introduced my son's situation, but all I got in return was a disdainful sneer from him. The nurse has already called me, Sophia. How could you say such vicious words just to help your poor relative cut in line? How can you be so disgusting? Is your relative's injury more important than Xinshin's foot? Do you know that Xinshin's foot will become inflamed if it is not treated? After he said that, he pushed the door shut slamming, and I anxiously reached out to block it. The hand bones immediately made a crisp sound. I was sweating profusely from the pain and bent my body to beg him for help. Suddenly, a white and tender foot appeared in front of me. Then there was a delicate voice of surprise. Michael, why did you marry a wife like this? You can even use your own son as an excuse. Do you have any heart? Ava accused me. Michael is a kind-hearted doctor, so he naturally puts his patients first. As a family member, you should be more supportive. I pushed her away anxiously. Shut up, this is a family matter between him and me. What qualifications do you have to discuss it? Michael, come with me. Before I could finish my words, he grabbed my injured arm and pushed me away, protecting Ava behind him with a distressed look. Sophia, if you are sick, go get treatment. If you dare to curse my son again, don't blame me for being rude to you. Get out of here now. Xinshin, you've been wronged. He closed the door of the consulting room again. The cold air in the corridor instantly penetrated my whole body, and I felt cold all over and shivered. I have been married to him for 10 years, but in the end, I couldn't resist his love for me. Michael and Ava dated for 4 years in college. When they were about to get married, Michael's business venture failed, and Ava broke up with him immediately and went abroad. Michael was heartbroken and chose me as his second choice. When we got married, he promised me that he would let go of the past, but the prerequisite for letting go was when Ava didn't want him anymore. As long as Ava beckons him, he will still come up and wag his tail to beg for mercy. So after Ava returned home, he often went to see her about her minor injuries without being asked, and began to show his annoyance towards me and my son. I was so angry that I wanted to help him, but he always bit back, as if I was the unfaithful one who wanted to abandon her husband and children. If Michael doesn't take action, only the director of the second hospital can perform his son's surgery. I clenched my trembling hands and quickly returned to the emergency room to arrange for my son to be transferred to another hospital. But when his son got in the car, he couldn't find the driver. I was so anxious that I asked for help everywhere, but no one answered me. Finally, the new nurse whispered in my ear, "Ask Dr. Michael in the surgery department." "Dr. Michael? Michael." I called him with trembling hands. "Michael, did you call the driver away?" Michael said in a cold tone, "If you want to send your poor relative away, apologize to Xinxin first. Do you know that your unreasonable behavior just now scared her and made her cry? He delayed his son's life-saving time just because of Ava's 2 tears?" I couldn't help but feel my heart throb. "Michael, are you really going to kill your son?" Because of my sad voice, Michael hesitated for a second. Soon he was pulled back by Ava's sobbing. "Sophia, stop disgusting me with your poor acting skills. I'll give you 1 minute. If you don't apologize, the driver will be fired." "No." I couldn't help crying. "I apologize, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I apologize to you, Michael, please save my son." Michael seemed to ask Ava's opinion, complained that he was addicted to acting, and hung up the phone. During the transfer process, my son's face became increasingly ugly, and I kept urging the driver to hurry up. When they were 500 meters away from the second hospital, my son suddenly opened his eyes. His little body was shaking in pain, but he raised his neck desperately to search. "Mom, why didn't Dad come to save me? Is it because I wasn't good and he doesn't like me anymore?" No, Dad is busy. We will be at the hospital soon. There will be many doctors to save you." "Mom is lying. Dad must have gone to accompany Aunt Ava again," he said firmly, and the light in his eyes suddenly dimmed. "Mom, I'm sorry, I can't continue to protect you. When I die, you can have another baby like me and let him accompany you instead of me. I don't want Mom to be alone." "Whoa. Don't have a baby with Daddy, he's bad. I don't want a daddy anymore." The son suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, his eyes blurred. "Where's Xiaoguai?" "I want Xiaoguai." Xiaoguai was his pet dog, and his body was still in the Maokai restaurant. I tried my best to suppress the sour feeling in my throat, coaxed him for a while and then went to find Xiaoguai. "Okay, Mom, I love you the most." After saying the last sentence, the son's neck tilted and he swallowed his last breath with difficulty and unwillingness. "Son." As I cried and screamed in grief, the ambulance stopped at the gate of the second hospital. 3. The dean personally brought several surgeons to provide emergency treatment. Half an hour later, the dean got out of the ambulance and looked at me apologetically. "I'm sorry, we've tried our best." I felt like the sky was falling. I rushed into the car, hugged my son's cold body, and cried heartbrokenly. How could the child I had gone through so much trouble to have be gone like this? After I got married 10 years ago, I couldn't get pregnant for a long time because of blocked fallopian tubes. I went through thousands of test tube fertilizations before I had this child. Maybe I was too pious, so God gave me an angel baby. Not only did he not cry when he was little, but he also became my little jacket when he grew up. Every time Michael and I had a fight, he would wipe my tears with his soft little hands and say words to protect me. Even when I was sick, she used her 8-year-old body to cook porridge for me, and her fingertips were scalded and blisters formed. The blisters haven't healed yet, and the little hands have completely lost their temperature. No, my son is most afraid of the cold. I rubbed his little hands and exhaled frantically to keep warm, but the air conditioning in the car was too cold, and even the air I exhaled was cold. I stubbornly asked them to turn off the air conditioning in the car. They looked at me as if I were a madman, but still cooperated with my actions. Until I heard a sigh. "If you had come 5 minutes earlier, the child could have been saved." 5 minutes. We could have come earlier. It's Michael, it's Ava. The crazy hatred made me calm down completely. I went to the Maokai restaurant to pick up Xiaoguai's body. After sending it to the funeral home for cremation, I only got back 2 small white porcelain jars. My son doesn't like crowds, so only a few close family members and friends were at the funeral. After I made more than 100 phone calls to Michael without any results, I completely gave up the idea of asking him to come and pick up my son. Unexpectedly, after the morning ceremony, Michael's car was parked in front of the funeral home. His hair was disheveled, his eyes were dark, and he looked like he hadn't slept for 3 days. When she saw me, she pointed at the photo of her son and Xiaoguai and said, "Sophia, it's just a dead dog, why are you making such a fuss? You don't think it's bad luck to put your son together with a dead dog? Do you know how those friends looked at me just now? If you want to embarrass yourself, do it alone. Don't take me with you." He still doesn't know that his son has been in trouble. That's right, the Maokai restaurant was opened by Ava, so naturally he would go there to show his courtesy after such a big thing happened. I said in a cold tone, did Ava tell you that it was only Xiaoguai who died? Michael's expression changed immediately. You really know that the store belongs to Xinxin, so you deliberately make things difficult for her. Do you know how many times Xinxin fainted from crying in the past 3 days? Sophia, you are also a woman, can you have a little sympathy? Don't pursue this matter of the dead dog anymore. He took out a piece of paper and threw it in front of me. Sign the Book of Understanding, and then go apologize to Xinxin. I can forgive you for embarrassing me this time. Michael sent me a bunch of contact information again. These are the families of the victims injured in the Maokai shop. If you have time to hold a funeral for the dog, why not get 2 letters of apology for Xinxin? She's a little girl and too fragile. I don't want her to be embarrassed. I gritted my teeth and trembled with anger. How shameless does one have to be to say such disgusting things? I couldn't hold back and slapped Michael in the face. Bitch, why is it my baby who died and not you, a damned bastard? Michael, you will get what you deserve. I tore up the letter of apology and smashed it on him like a madman, attracting many people to watch. Michael didn't want to lose face, so he pushed me away and drove away. But the sharp look in his eyes before he left told me that he had not given up. When I carefully carried my son and Xiaoguai's ashes home that evening, I saw Michael sitting on the sofa with a new letter of understanding in front of him. My face instantly turned cold. Michael, are you done yet? I won't sign the letter of understanding, get out of here. Michael stood up obediently, but did not leave. Instead, he rushed over, snatched the urn from my hand, and held it high. No. Michael, no. I hurriedly stretched out my hands to protect him. My son is just a handful of ashes. Please don't hurt him. Sophia, why didn't I realize you were such an acting freak before? You'd say anything disgusting to keep me away from Xinxin. He opened the urn with an angry look on his face. I want to see what's inside. No. I screamed anxiously. Michael, didn't you notice that your son is missing? Michael sneered. Didn't you send him to your mother's house? Xinxin saw him playing with your mother this morning. Sophia, stop your poor acting skills. I feel sick if I look at you for even a second. Will you sign the letter of understanding? Looking at his hand that was constantly tilting, I didn't dare to gamble anymore. I crawled over with tears in my eyes and signed the letter of understanding. Michael looked at me with satisfaction as I put my fingerprints on the paper. He picked up the letter of understanding with one hand and threw the urn on the coffee table with the other. But then there was a pop sound, the jar cracked, and white ash immediately flew out. I nervously protected it with my hands, tears streaming down my face with heartache. Michael shook his hands in disgust. Dead dog, so dirty. When I carefully found a new porcelain jar to put the ashes away, Michael had already slammed the door and was gently calling Ava. Don't worry, the letter of understanding has been obtained. Don't be afraid, Xinxin. I'll take care of everything. I'll never let you suffer any injustice again. Just wait for me to come back. I trembled and covered my son's urn to prevent him from hearing such a disgusting sound. The next day, after my son was buried, I received 2 triumphant messages from Ava. I've been picking up other people's men for more than 10 years. Is this my retribution? Sophia, if it weren't for you, I would have come back to find him a long time ago. You owe me this. I read the message indifferently and replied with only 1 line of words. Do you think that letter of understanding is real? When Ava saw the message, she asked me what I meant as if she was shocked. I just read it without replying, and then started copying the surveillance video at home and sending it to the police station and the court's email addresses. The law stipulates that a letter of understanding signed under duress has no legal effect. Not only is the letter of understanding invalid, Michael has also violated the law. Aren't they each other's white moonlight in love but unable to be together? Then I will kindly send them inside for a reunion. I hired the best lawyer and united all the injured families to take Ava to court. Michael called back that night in a rage. Sophia, are you done yet? I just helped Xinxin a few more times, do you have to keep retaliating? Michael, take a piss and look at the mirror in order to retaliate for you. Do you deserve it? I roared. The person on the other end of the phone choked, and then quickly spoke in a condescending tone. If you ask those people to withdraw the lawsuit, I promise you that I will go back twice a week. He paused, his voice filled with humiliation. If you want to fulfill your husband and wife obligations, I will agree, but you must prepare the medicine. You are disgusting to me right now and I have no interest in you. He's disgusting? I feel like throwing up even through the screen. Michael, if you can't do it, you can go get treatment. Don't King disgust me. Michael, I've already given up for 2 days, and you're still not satisfied? Sophia, don't refuse to drink the wine. I have a kind heart and don't want to do anything extreme, but the premise is that you know how to restrain yourself. Then let her try. I'll wait. I hung up the phone directly and started receiving some confidential information from the detective agency, which recorded the evidence that Ava used inferior materials when decorating her Maokai restaurant. Then I started to find major internet celebrities and began to prepare for the next step. Michael's confidence in threatening me is simply because Ava is a small blogger with 100,000 followers, and one video is enough to suppress me. As the party at fault, she has the courage to do this, so I will let her taste the feeling of being disgraced and then going to jail. I sorted out the materials until 5 in the morning. I had just fallen asleep for a while when I was awakened by a loud noise downstairs. The neighbors around were also talking about it. A beautiful little girl came to apologize crying. Did she do something terribly wrong? Hey. It's not a big mistake. She just ran over someone's dog and got blackmailed. It's unlucky for the girl. How could there be such an unreasonable and wicked person in our community? I immediately thought of Ava, took out my phone and found her account, and sure enough, the live broadcast was on. I clicked on it and immediately saw my name stretched into a giant banner hanging on the green belt of the community. Ava knelt on the ground in plain clothes and kowtowed, "Ms. Sophia, I am here to apologize to you. Please forgive me." She looks rather delicate, and once she cries it is so heartbreaking that netizens in the live broadcast room were already going wild. Which bitch is so vicious that she not only used the dog to blackmail people, but also forced us to kneel down and apologize? Are all blackmailers so reasonable these days? This is horrible. I want to go home to my mom. Human flesh her out. This disgusting bitch doesn't deserve to be alive. She is simply bringing shame to us humans. After Ava glanced at the direction of public opinion, she immediately performed even harder. I watched coldly, confirmed the details with the major bloggers, and then went downstairs with the existing evidence in my hand. The first time Ava saw me, she started to apologize and knelt at my feet. "Ms. Sophia, I know I shouldn't have kept going to your husband for treatment. I will never do that again. Please help me sign the letter of understanding. I will stay away from you and your husband's hospital in the future. Woo-woo. Miss Sophia, please don't misunderstand me anymore. I really can't live any longer." She was crying so hard that her eyes were filled with tears. In an instant, she changed from being the one who was blackmailed to being the target of my unreasonable retaliation. What the hell? Does she think her husband is so popular? Does anyone care about him? We are always beautiful. This kind of suspicious person is the most disgusting. She can't control her husband and everyone looks like a criminal to her. Help Shinshin to call the police quickly. I have a lawyer at home who can help you sue her for blackmail for free. When Ava saw someone was about to call the police, she turned pale with fright and quickly pleaded for me in the live broadcast room, saying that she wanted to give each other a chance, which instantly won her another wave of goodwill. She brought the letter of apology again, and I took it and tore it into pieces. I kicked her away. Is an unrepentant murderer worthy of forgiveness? My attitude immediately caused the onlookers around me to start pointing fingers at me. We had just moved into this neighborhood, and although we were not familiar with many of the people who knew the truth soon began to question us. What do you mean a dog died? The man's son is gone, and you can't hold him accountable? That's right. How dare a murderer be so arrogant? Ava panicked when she heard this and quickly shook her head, then played a video. In the video, she saw me crying heartbreakingly when I went to claim Xiaogui's body after my son died. The neighbors were stunned for a moment. When the billboard collapsed, the entire roof was torn off with it. Ava told the police that the surveillance was broken, but in fact she had secretly dealt with it herself, so now she is allowed to edit it. But she probably forgot that when I, her client, returned to the scene, she was still in the hospital with Michael. Ava, are you sure this is true? Ava gritted her teeth and nodded, looking like she was sure of victory. While she was enjoying herself, I took out another video from my phone, played it for everyone to see, and told them what had happened while crying. Seeing my son's miserable condition again, my heart trembled with pain and my hands and feet were cold. The neighbors who were originally there to watch the fun were so shocked that they rushed over to support me and angrily scolded Ava. The girl is pretty, but why is she so vicious? That's right. They harmed someone's child and then slandered them for blackmail. How disgusting. Call the police quickly and get this kind of person away. When Ava heard the alarm, she stood up in fear and pointed at me for a long time before she uttered a word. There are a lot of synthesized videos, don't think you can fool everyone. She ran away crying, not forgetting to play the victim to her fans in the live broadcast room. A group of fans were skeptical, and most of them began to turn neutral. Some righteous internet celebrities began to anxiously ask me whether I wanted to expose the news. I thought about it and decided to suppress it, then went to the hospital where Michael was. Ava will definitely complain to him. So when I arrived at the hospital, he came to me with a gloomy face. Seeing me, he started to accuse me again. Sophia, how long do you want to go crazy? This is a hospital, not your home. Do you have to make everyone restless? If you continue to make trouble, I will consider divorcing you and will never give you custody of our son. Son? I said with a mocking look in my eyes and a sad voice, do you still have a son? Michael was annoyed and said coldly, are you not tired of playing this trick yet? Bring your son back immediately, clear the air for Shinshin, and apologize to her publicly. It's impossible to get him back, Michael. If you have any conscience, you can go after him. When he was stunned by what I said, the hospital leader suddenly inspected our location. I immediately took out the prepared letter of complaint and rushed to the dean. Dean, I am reporting Dr. Michael for malfeasance and killing my son. The dean recognized Michael and me and thought I was having a tantrum, but the death certificate in the report letter made his expression suddenly serious. Michael was also dumbfounded. Then he looked at me in disbelief. Sophia, I really underestimated you. You dared to open such a thing just for acting. Do you know that you will be held legally responsible for fraud? The dean said solemnly. Sophia, are you sure? I looked determined. I'm sure. I took out the video from the Maokai restaurant again and personally handed Michael the miserable condition of my son. Michael, look carefully, who is inside? Michael looked on in disbelief, his hands and feet trembling at the same time, his face pale, and his eyes turned from shock to horror. Son. I don't believe it, Sophia. You can't joke about this kind of thing. I'll really get angry. Angry? What does it have to do with me even if you die? The director of the second hospital said that if he had arrived 5 minutes earlier, his son would not have died. Michael, if you didn't save him, why did you stop others from saving him? 5 minutes, why not faster? Michael asked, and immediately became listless again. It was he who stopped the driver from driving and wasted time. He grabbed his hair in pain and knelt heavily on the ground crying, how could this happen? The person who came that day was clearly your poor relative, why did he become your son? The dean had already sent someone to investigate what happened that day, and a young nurse soon arrived. Standing in front of us, he rubbed his hands nervously. When I called Dr. Michael that day, a woman answered the phone and said that Dr. Michael was performing an important operation and would not see any patients. After saying that, she also played the call recording, and Ava's sweet voice was soon heard from it. Michael was dumbfounded and took the phone and listened to it over and over again. Impossible, Shinshin clearly said that he was your poor relative and only had a minor scrape. His eyes were cracked and gray, as if his faith of many years had collapsed and he seemed completely exhausted. The dean's face became increasingly serious, and he spoke after a while, Dr. Michael, the hospital will file a lawsuit against you for malpractice on behalf of Ms. Sophia. If convicted, he would not only go to jail, but his career would also be completely ruined. Michael came back to his senses instantly. No, Dean, I did not commit malfeasance. I was indeed performing other operations at the time. Other surgeries? Is he referring to Ava's paronychia? I took out Ava's medical records and threw them in his face. The hospital fired Michael on the spot. He seemed to still not believe the fact that his son was dead. He took the death certificate to the second hospital and then to the crematorium for various verifications. When there is nothing left to prove, faith completely collapses. He got himself drunk, banged on my door like crazy, and asked where his son's grave was. Sophia, please, can you tell me where my son is? I looked down at him. Michael, is this how you ask for help? He was stunned for a long while before he overcame the humiliation in his heart. He bent his knees and knelt in front of me, tears in his eyes. But I don't see any pity in him. Crocodile tears are the most disgusting thing in the world. You make me sick the way you are now, Michael. If you want to see your son so much, why don't you just die? I swung my arms uncontrollably and slapped his face until I was out of strength. His face was covered in blood, and then I kicked him in the chest to vent my anger. After closing the door, I asked all the internet celebrities to reveal the whole story. From his son being hit by a billboard, to the delay in hospital treatment, to Michael and Ava's relationship, and the evidence that Ava used inferior products. Once the news came out, it instantly caused an uproar on the internet. In the field of confusing right and wrong, this black-hearted sister dares to claim to be second, and absolutely no one dares to claim to be first. She really blackened me. I believed she was the one being blackmailed. I almost scolded the mother. If I were the child's mother, let alone hold her accountable, I would probably just kill that damn bitch with a knife. Ava was originally trying to clear herself in the live broadcast room, but suddenly the screen was filled with insults. She checked the trending searches, and soon her eyes turned red with anger, staring at the camera like a madman. Sophia, you did it. didn't you? Why did you have to destroy me? You clearly stole my man, you owe me. She yelled hysterically, but soon someone revealed that she ran away because she was disgusted with Michael's failed business venture. Along with the new round of abuse came the sound of sirens echoing throughout the live broadcast room. Ava hung up the live broadcast in panic. I thought the matter was over, but the police never caught Ava. She escaped through the garbage chute of the old house. From that day on, I received threatening text messages every night. I knew it was sent by Ava, so I wasn't scared. She still remembered me after she ran away, probably because she hated me so much. I could use myself as bait to lure her out. Not only did I not hide, I also went out to eat, drink and have fun all day, and posted it on my moments to show off. Some people secretly commented that I was heartless for still enjoying myself so much after losing my son, but I didn't care at all and continued to do as I pleased. When I walked into the mall on the 5th day, I finally saw the black figure that had been following me in the mirror. I went up to the top floor while calling the police. At the corner, a knife was suddenly placed across my waist. If you dare to move, I will kill you. Ava said sternly and pushed me directly onto the roof. The tip of the knife made shallow bloody holes on my body one after another, which seemed to make Ava extremely excited. Beg me, Sophia, kneel down and kowtow to me 100 times, and I'll let you go, how about that? I sneered, without any fear in my eyes, and took out a small doll from my arms. Guess what this is? I had a weird expression on my face, and Ava was so scared that her hands were shaking. I explained, it's my son's only legacy. Do you know why it's the last one? Because the others have already been sent there. I'll bring this one over for her personally. Ava stepped back in fear. You're crazy. I was crazy. I had been crazy since the day my son died. The only reason I had remained calm for all these years was because all I could think about was how to kill her and Michael. I used my body as bait and never thought about living. Looking at my crazy eyes, Ava hid back with fear in her eyes. Just as he was about to run, I pulled him back by his hair and pressed him against the railing. One more step and Ava would be shattered. She was so scared that she peed herself. Help, you lunatic, help. I laughed strangely and arrogantly. If you and Michael had been more merciful, my son would still be alive and well now. Ava, a vicious-hearted bitch like you doesn't deserve to be alive. Go to hell. I pressed her down, and the railing broke due to disrepair. Ava and I fell at the same time, and the moment she fell, a strong hand suddenly grabbed me. I looked up at Michael who had arrived late, and heard it banging behind me, and Ava fell to the ground. The smell of blood suddenly rose. Michael was so scared that his hands were shaking, and he looked at me with red eyes. Sophia, our son's incident was an accident, can't you let it go? Accident or man-made? Don't you know? Michael roared, if you have to say it's man-made, then what about you? Why did you insist on taking your children to eat Maokai? Oh. Is this where I want to go? When I thought of the scene that day, I instantly burst into tears. Michael insisted that there was a new Maokai restaurant that opened on that street and it was very delicious. My son doesn't like spicy food at all, but he hadn't seen his father for a long time and he wanted to go. I couldn't stand his eager look, so I took him there. But Michael was in the hospital giving Ava a pedicure and was more than an hour late. If he had arrived a little earlier, perhaps our family of 3 would have finished eating. Damn it. Damn Michael too. Hatred burst out in my eyes. I stepped on the stairs with great force, and Michael's body fell down uncontrollably with me. Since we all deserve to die, let's go down together to accompany our son. I held my son's favorite doll and fell freely in the air with a smile on my face. It hurts. My whole body hurts. When I fell into darkness, a soft little hand grabbed me desperately. I had a dream. In the dream, my son was fine, he had school to go to, delicious food to eat, and many of his favorite toys. But he didn't want me. He cried and asked me to live, to have another baby and live a good life. When I woke up, I suddenly felt relieved. I was lucky to survive with only a broken leg. Ava and Michael are equally lucky, but they are worse off than me. They fell and became half disabled. Not only will they have to go to jail, but they will also have to spend the rest of their lives in a wheelchair. It is said that Ava went crazy and accused me of murder in court, but unfortunately the surveillance showed that she was the one who kidnapped me all along. And there were bloody holes on my body from where she had stabbed me with her knife. Her accusations were invalid. She first blamed the store for the wounding, and then blocked Michael from practicing medicine, which was an indirect murder. She was directly sentenced to 28 years in prison. Michael was sentenced to 5 years in prison for dereliction of duty and threatening me to sign a letter of apology. After he went to jail, I successfully filed for divorce. After a few months of recuperation, my leg injury was completely healed. I took my son's belongings, packed my backpack and went out to travel. Relying on my own 2 feet, I took my son to see the beautiful scenery at home and abroad. I didn't remarry, but I fulfilled my son's last wish. Test tube, she is a beautiful little girl. The little girl inherited her brother's gentleness and thoughtfulness. Every time I hold those tender little hands, I always feel like my son has returned to my side. When I go to another world in the future, I will definitely ask my son. Baby, have you come to see me secretly?